pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I recognize the guests. Joey, who do we have?
Maria Noel from Turning Point.
Okay,
Kathleen Engstrom from the Arden A. Brown Public Library.
okay,
Karina Simons, I'm a trustee.
okay.
Rowena Brown.
Dan Seeley, I'm with the Richford Conservation Commission tonight.
Lisa Hango, State Representative.
And John Libby, zoning administrator.
Okay. Kathleen, we have you up next, library director.
Yes. So we have heard that there were some concerns about the harm reduction bags at the library. And they are available in the lobby, in the entranceway, on a shelf for community members to take. They contain Narcan and fentanyl strips to test drugs with. They are out of the reach of children, and the staff are not administering Narcan. This is something for the public to take and go. So I guess it would be nice to hear what the concerns are.
I think there was a concern of liability that was mentioned.
Uh-huh.
Has there been any, there was a tale, and I don't know if it was just a tale or not, but someone had mentioned that there was a overdose within the bathroom of the library at one time.
There was no overdose in the
Okay.
bathroom of the library.
Okay, that was,
There
it was
have,
brought up, so we're asking.
yeah, so that is not true.
Okay,
What has happened is there has been evidence of people using drugs in the library, injecting drugs. And this has been going on for a while. So, for instance, I have found syringes, needles in the children's room, which is not a great place for them. And so anyway, and so there is, do you know about the Good Samaritan Law as well, which is, I believe it's Title 18, and it is about administering, if you did administer an opioid antagonist to a victim. So if you believe in good faith that the victim is experiencing an opioid-related overdose, and after a person has administered an opioid antagonist pursuant to subdivision 1 of this subsection D, he or she shall immediately call for emergency medical services if medical assistance has not been sought or is not yet present. A person shall be immune from civil or criminal liability for administering an opioid antagonist to a victim. So basically that's what, this is a Good Samaritan Law. Now we are not administering Narcan to anyone.
Could I add to any of them?
Yes, of course.
The other piece of it is that there's not a danger to people who may mistakenly use naloxone. So we don't want this in kids' hands mainly because we want it in the people's hands who need it, right? And that's a lot of different people that we don't necessarily think about. So not just drug users, not just IV drug users. I think that we're all aware there's a problem here, right? But we're also talking about your 13-year-old who tries pot for the first time. There's fentanyl in everything right now. There's fentanyl in everything because it has a better grip, a quick, it's short lasting, which means if the cartels were creating crack and sending it up here, and they put fentanyl in it, then people are gonna want it sooner. They're gonna need it more, right? So this is in marijuana, where your kids might try it for the first time. Or what about, my mom has Alzheimer's. And so what happens when she forgets that she already took her medicine, right? Narcan should be in the hands of, it is my opinion, I should say, that Narcan should be in all of our hands because there's so much potential for overdose. There are fentanyl pills that look exactly like Percocets. They're created that way. It's just not the same world that we used to live in. So there's lots of accidental overdose that can happen. Children who can get into a prescription. There's just so many different reasons to have Narcan. And one of the things that I was talking about is just that if I gave it to somebody, if somebody was passed out, and I wasn't sure if it was an overdose or not, and I administered Narcan, there's no harm that comes from that. It only acts on opiate receptors, and it just releases them from the overdose, hopefully. So I guess, and I showed up so that I can answer any concerns maybe more clearly, or hopefully more clearly than Kathleen could. So I guess if anybody wants to ask questions or has concerns.
Ollie, did you have anything?
No, I was just more concerned about is it the appropriate location? And I guess that's more of a group decision. I mean, how does, from your ambulance point of view, guys, what are your thoughts on something like this?
My biggest concern is the people are getting the Narcan, which is great, they're getting it, but they're not getting the education with getting the Narcan. So they're Narcanning their friends or their neighbors or whatever, but they're not calling us anymore.
Yeah.
That's the problem. If it's just out where anybody can grab it without an education pamphlet going with it, or a couple minutes of conversation, hey, we're giving you Narcan, if you use this, please call 911, get help, because opioids can re-trigger back after Narcan. Within 15 minutes, they can go back unresponsive and not breathing.
Yeah.
There's a very big half-life to it.
So basically, if you've got one dose of Narcan, they could 15 minutes later go back into it, and they do not have that education knowing this could happen, they could overdose anyway.
We're using upwards of 10 to 12 milligrams to kick it from people up here right now.
So I understand that concern, because that is the one thing we tell people right off. Call 911, even before you administer Narcan, call 911.
But if it's just sitting on a shelf, there's no education that comes with that bottle.
In the bag, in the harm reduction bags, and I should have brought one.
Is it like
There are small pamphlets.
same thing as our drop kits?
But yeah, I'm sure it's a state, they don't
Yeah.
actually come from Turning Point, they come from the Vermont.
Are they
Department
little
of
red,
Health.
like money bags?
No, but they come in different bags when
Yeah.
we get them from the state, so.
So it's the same thing we have in the rig. It's our leave behind kits by the sounds.
My concern would be, how do we get it to the public in a place where the people who need it can, people are not always like, hey, I need an overdose kit, right? So how do we bridge this gap and have them somewhere where the public can access them and children can't? Or they can have like, hey, make sure you read this first.
Yeah, that's my big thing, is they're not calling, and that's the biggest thing I have. As an advanced EMT looking into this, I mean, we hear of these overdoses every day, and our last overdose was a month ago, and there's been I've heard at least 5 or 6 more that we haven't gotten called for.
Oh yeah. People will tell us, they come into the center and they tell us all the time that they've overdosed 10, 20 times.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't call. People have left their friends dying and they don't call. So how do we get these into somebody's hand and say, know that you're not going to get in trouble if you call 911?
Are we encouraging the environment by having that on hand in the library where children are present?
They weren't there previously and the use was happening. Libraries are actually a huge source of use because they're open all day. They're a place where homeless or people who maybe can't use at home or in another place can go, lock a door, sit behind a closed door, nobody is bothering them, and they can use and they can sit without being bothered. So in the heat, in the cold, in the rain, this is in the bigger cities, that's where a lot of these Narcan programs came from, was concern from librarians, because they were watching people die and didn't have something they could do.
I think what I'm hearing from people in town, okay, and I won't name names, but I could if you want, I'll give you
No, no,
a
no.
secret list.
I know.
There's a concern about the end user of the kids coming into the library, okay? And it's more of a public space with a lot of children normally, and does it attract?
Right.
Like you just mentioned, the users need a place to go and get their kid. Now, I'm not opposed to them at all. I think they should be in as many locations and as available as possible, but I don't think that the library is necessarily the right place. Do we have the answer as to where they can get them as frequently as they could get them at the library? I don't know. Certainly there should be some in the library behind the desk that, if somebody wanted to request them, that's okay, but putting it out there that, hey, come on down for your kid here, and having whatever addicts, for whatever reason, showing up and grabbing 1, 2, whatever, 3, 4, 5, and because they're not regulated, they're just on a shelf. Help yourself, right? That's part of my problem, but I don't know that the library is the most appropriate venue. Now, if I had the answers, we talked in these meetings about putting them at the emergency services building, and it's staffed sporadically, while the library's only open 4 out of 7 days too, there's more likelihood that.
No, there's only 1 day, maybe 2 days a week we have somebody at the station, unless we
Okay.
get a call. So if you did that, you'd have to have a phone number for them to call,
Yeah,
which would be our dispatch. Our dispatch would have to tone our crew to go to the station.
okay.
That'd be the only.
So
way
that's
that-
not the answer.
No.
I don't know what the answer is, but I'm concerned about creating the appearance of the people, and kids these days aren't stupid, okay? They know very well what's going on all over town, maybe in their own homes. And, but it's the kind of thing that those that we can insulate from that, I think it would be appropriate to do so. And by you put out the honey and the flies come, okay? Put the vinegar out and they stay away. So I think if we had another location, great. And I don't know, are you in town all week or just 1 day a week?
Just 1 day a week.
Yeah, see, so, it could be available at your place.
They are.
Anytime. I'm sure they are, there you go. And I'm sure Notch is giving them out. They
So-
have them available.
The concern is real. And we are open on Wednesdays, and we have harm reduction bags, and we will hand them out to any individual that would like one, no questions asked.
Yep.
The where is the hard part, but you said something that kind of stuck out to me, which is the appearance. And this is the hard part. This is why people die from drug overdose, because there's a stigma, right? Drugs are
Sure.
bad. We don't want them in our town. We don't want to admit it's here. Obviously, nobody wants your child to be a drug addict. Nobody wants to invite them into the library. My almost 1-year-old grandson attends the library anytime they're open. So I don't want him to reach into something and accidentally get stuck by a needle. Absolutely not. But I also don't think that I think there's a mid-grade there, right? We're not inviting, this problem existed before harm reduction kits existed. So if they could be behind the counter, like you said, so that you could make sure to give them to somebody, because they're not gonna call somebody to get them.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just think the distribution of them should be
I
more
agree.
supervised. And, and what do you say to the kid that points at the bag and says, what's this? And that's our neighbor picking it up. And what do you tell them?
That is such a good question. You tell them what it is.
Okay.
We have a drug problem in America.
Of course we do.
Right? And so if we hide it, and I'll be open, I'm a recovering drug addict and alcoholic, and the more I didn't go get help because because people were like, ooh, this is bad. I
Yeah,
didn't
sure.
even want my car to be seen at an AA meeting,
Mhm.
which is weird because I didn't have a problem with it being in a drug dealer's house.
Mhm.
However, right, my kids know everything that I can tell them about addiction because it can hit your kid and your kid and your mother, and there's no class, race, socioeconomic platform. You guys must see it. There's nothing that stops people from becoming drug addicts or alcoholics. So honestly, I love the question. It's just like, what does the rainbow flag mean? You know, what does this mean? The more conversation that we can stir up about real world stuff, I think the more educated our children become, the more questions they ask, the more open they're willing to talk to you about, hey, well, this is going on at my friend's house, you know? I saw her dad doing this, whatever the case may be.
But I don't know, it's age appropriate perhaps.
Of course.
And, you know, it's just like when the 3-year-old says, where do the babies come from?
Yes.
You know, and
Certainly.
you're dancing around that question as people may about what the drug issue is. Oh, that's some medicine that they need in case they get sick. Okay, that's fine, but you know, most kids aren't buying into that. Some of them are just gonna run off back to the children's room and, hey, look at these nice push pins I found in here. No, I'm just kidding. But I think part of the solution would be to keep them behind the desk. You can put a little sign that they're available here, even on the shelf where they were, if someone has already claimed one there, and they can get them, if you're comfortable with the librarians giving them out.
Well, we are just giving the bags to a patient.
Right.
That's not a problem.
No, that's
We're
what-
administering any drugs.
No, and I don't think we thought that was happening. We just
Yeah.
wanted to be a more controlled atmosphere. And I think it's a great program. I think they should be available everywhere to anybody that needs them. But it's just it's a perception question, the questions that I'm getting. Because it's a high use by children, the libraries. And I'm sure you got drug addicts that come in and they use the computers because they have to do everything online to get their benefits, and they're not readily available all over town. So, and that's fine, that's great. It's a tremendous service. I'd like to do anything to
What are your thoughts?
decrease the loss of life.
I would like to see it at least behind the counter, you know, where it's out of sight, out of reach. I mean, if there's a sign there that states something. Question that was going through my mind when we were talking about this, is there a safe place to dispose of needles within the library?
Not right now.
So you're, in one sense, you've got a cure for a drug, but you're finding needles in places
Well,
where you
we have
shouldn't.
found needles. I haven't found needles recently.
Well,
I have,
But
I know.
you found needles is what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
So
right.
what would you do to mitigate that from happening?
So those two they're not the same thing.
I know they're not the
So,
same thing.
we have two different problems that both need solutions. And at the Vermont Department of Health, you can get a sharps container for the bathroom. And I would also suggest having a lock on, I saw the bathroom lock, and it is not, you cannot unlock that from the outside. So I would also suggest having a new modern handle put on, so if somebody goes in and is unresponsive for some amount of time and you can't, you can go into the bathroom. I don't think that one will bring in more people than the next, but they're both huge problems, for sure.
And the needles in the opiates, they don't go side by side with the Narcan. However, we've been to places where they've done both.
Yes, but what I'm saying is providing Narcan does not raise the likelihood that somebody's going to use a needle in the bathroom. That is already happening.
Right.
So we're not solving one problem and creating another problem. We're solving one problem
You're
and
solving one problem,
hopefully solving a
but you
second problem.
already got another problem.
Yes,
So
there's many,
yes.
many.
And concerning that bathroom door, it was reported to this board at our last meeting that the bathroom doorknob and a light were replaced
No,
in the building.
the bathroom door, it's such an older door, it's
Yeah.
like an antique door,
Okay,
basically.
yeah,
And the doorknob is on order. I
Oh,
think
okay.
like everything else these days, there are supply chain problems.
sure,
And it's, not something that was
Mhm.
readily available, but I know it's on order,
okay.
so.
So that problem will be
That
cured,
problem
yeah.
is,
That's
yeah, and I just wanted to say that, that, we have people who use the library
Mhm.
that we may know, and staff knows are addicts.
Mhm,
Okay,
sure.
and they come in and they use the computers, or they check out books, or they're patrons, and that happens. And I can also say that so far, we can move those bags behind
Mhm.
the desk, that is fine with me. But we've had no children ask, and we have a lot, it's wonderful, we have a lot of new families moving to
Mhm.
Richford with children.
Mhm.
And it's been great to have them in the library.
Sure.
And we were lucky enough to get a Cliff grant, and we had grab-and-go bags with a
Mhm.
book in each one, and that's more like what we have out for children within reach.
Yeah, I just,
So just so you know, yeah.
And the
No,
last thing we want to do is create controversy. We want to solve
No.
controversies,
I
so
don't
we
think
don't wanna
we're
scare
indicating
kids
that
away.
that's the case. We just
Parents.
want it in a controlled setting.
Yeah.
And,
And I think part of it was, that we heard about this, we didn't know about this, and this is something you took upon, it's a town building, where, it would have been nice to have a little communication here, this is what we'd like to do, and look for some sort of board approval instead of moving forward without
Okay.
saying anything.
Well, libraries all over Vermont are doing this. If you go to the Vermont Department of Library website, there is a whole, there's a
I understand that, but what,
PowerPoint on
I
opioid addiction.
understand that, but what I'm getting at, this is a town building. It would have been nice to have a little communication prior to
Well-
starting this program.
And in the future, I would be sure to communicate. It would also be lovely to see select board members in the library, using the library. That would be great too. Like the community, I agree.
no, I go in
Communication-
quite a bit, but
That's
I can
good.
never read the books in time.
Oh, well, you have renewal dates.
What's that?
She said, Wally, did you have anything more?
We can always renew them for you. But what I'm saying is, I agree, communication and cooperation is really important.
Yeah.
And if I had any idea that putting harm reduction bags out would lead to this, I definitely would have
Okay.
talked. And now you have Mike, which is wonderful. So I have somebody that is readily available and I can communicate with,
Absolutely.
which is wonderful.
Did you have anything more?
No, I think, I definitely understand the access. I mean, putting them behind the counter is gonna make it a little harder, because the people that can just grab them, it's a lot, there are gonna be probably more people that are gonna grab them than there are gonna be people asking for them, so we are limiting somewhat. I just wonder, but I do think it's the appropriate action there, but I'm wondering if we can't offset by maybe also having signs saying they can also, also be available at the ambulance when personnel are available.
Should they be able to get them here?
That's what I was thinking, that would be, get people here all day long.
Well, maybe that's the thing, you can put it where your sign where you used to have them, they could say available at these locations,
Yeah.
and maybe the town clerk can hand them out as well, I don't know.
Actually, I was thinking, be in the ambulance office and Michael being right there, having it
Would you
right
be
there.
comfortable with that, Michael?
We can explore that.
I'd be happy to come down on a Wednesday and do a training and give you some bags and show you how to access Department of Health to have them on
Yeah,
order.
at least then it's more in adult-oriented environments.
Yeah.
And then behind the desk is more controlled, I could be behind that.
And
I
right now on Mondays from 6 to 6, there's the ambulance station staff unless there's a call, so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a hit or miss on the
That's
weekends.
great. That's wonderful.
We didn't want to bring you in and beat you up. We were just looking to get some clarity on it. That's all.
I brought a couple of things that were not put out by Turning Point, so they're not biased, but just some information on, is it safe for kids and who's at risk? I'm sure you guys know this, but for those who are not aware, there's those right here, and there's also Turning Point information, because, you know, this was my time.
For those of us that need it.
Thank you.
I mean, we all need it.
Can you hand me one of those now?
Alright,
Alright, I'm gonna.
we good?
Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
Great, thank
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
guys. Thanks for not beating us too.
Alright, so we have development review board member Andy Derby.
Nope.
He's not gonna
He's not gonna be here, okay. And we have approval of minutes for 8/29, select board meeting.
I need to accept those.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
No, I have some changes,
Okay,
okay? Do you have a set with you?
No.
Okay, in the third paragraph, it says, John Libby brought a complaint to the border,
Oh.
okay? So I don't know what that is. On the second page, the third paragraph, Rick Hoy called the previous saying,
Yeah.
okay, so I don't know what that is, but he called the previous
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
okay?
Mhm.
And at the end of it, and when we came out of executive session, you need to indicate that no action was taken
Okay.
related to the executive session.
okay. So with those changes,
I still like the motion.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion pass. Update from the town administrator.
Alright, so I'll start with this, it's on the top of my papers. So this is the agreement form for the grants and aid program for 2023. So we're already getting that grant, it's through V-Trans. I talked to Jason today, and this is to kind of say that we want NRPC to help us with that grant.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a $1,000 fee from Northwest Regional Planning, saying that they would help us with reviewing existing municipal road erosion inventory and identifying eligible projects, holding pre-construction meetings with municipal staff, so like with Jason or myself, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because this year they're doing it separate. In the past, where NRPC worked with V-Trans on these projects, so now it's up to the municipality to ask for help if they want it. So I asked Jason, and his suggestion is he would really like to have NRPC as much as possible, working with like Bethany members.
Okay.
So this is pretty much saying from all you, like signatures from all you saying that we agree to that. And so I just have that for all you to sign if you want to pass it around.
And I'd just like to note that since Dan is at this meeting today, he's been very instrumental in helping us file some of the road grants in past years, so thank you very much.
Hold your pen. I
This
didn't
year,
bring
they
one.
double it. 10,000. If you get it.
Kind of skipped over the guest part because I went right on to the library. So I'm gonna, if
Today's
everyone's okay with it,
19th.
from the town, update from the town administrator, we'll go to guest.
Yeah.
Get that out of the way first.
Yep.
I apologize.
Ran out of lines. No responsibility for you.
You just put your signature wherever you want.
Actually, that library thing was a good segue for me. I'm not distributing Narcan, but,
Are you using fentanyl is the other question.
I don't know what's in those apples these days. Anyway, I'm here basically to let you know what we're planning.
Okay.
So, and this is, well, I went out with Jason, we drove around, and I've already got the one grant written, now I gotta wait for them to give me the forms to actually fill it out. Anyway, but this is for the Conservation Commission. We're planning on we're applying for a grant to focus on basically what they call it, not endangered, but threatened and rare species. One of which will be bats, as you're well aware of the white nose syndrome. So this is where I'm coming in. We're gonna be getting a bunch of bat houses, some of them fairly large. 4 of them are gonna go on poles. It's what they call a newer rocket design. It's almost like a design more like a natural tree cavity situation. And we'd like to place them, one at Davis Park, okay, the community bank property next to the bridge. One will go near the elementary school, and one I would like to place down by the sewer plant. So we're gonna have 4 of those. We'll have a bunch of the regular box type that'll go on buildings like the high school. Now, the problem with this is why I want to talk to you is about the ones going up on a pole. It'd be about it's a 16-foot pole. We don't want to interfere with where you're going to be mowing. So down here, where we put up all the birdhouses and the historical signs, we do the same thing, put them right on the edge here, no problem. Same thing, Davis Park, you put them on the edge, you can mow, there'd be no problem. The sewer plant area, I'm gonna have to talk to somebody. Who should I talk to about where to put that? Because I was thinking if we got down by the riverside edge, and you're thinking about, and there's gonna be eventually a trail going through there, isn't there?
Yeah, that's one of the Richford Recreation's vision, the project.
So that's why I thought that would be a good location for it. And I can see at the edge of the field near the river, it probably would not interfere. But I want to make sure that it goes some places that, you know, it's not going to interfere with other people's work. Okay. But that we can come back to in the spring and actually figure out a spot.
When are you filing the grant for those?
This is due October 1st. So I've got that written. It's ready to go.
Excellent.
The other thing is we would like to put in at the elementary school right now there's a big field there. It's lots of mowing, grass and stuff, which you also put it to wildflowers, but that's beside the point. Okay, but we were thinking about putting in a strip. I was thinking about a 7-foot wide strip of probably down away from as far in the field away from the school, because that way you could have it as sort of a border and wouldn't interfere so much with mowing and other stuff. And that we would plant, we were going to have the students there planting Vermont natural species that are good for pollinators. Because there are a lot of, besides honeybees, there are a lot of native pollinators that could benefit from this. And so I was thinking of basically a long strip of wildflowers. You know, you'd have, you know, there's lots of them. And then bordering that, I was thinking of, would be nice to have a strip of red clover and then a strip of white clover. So that way you hit the long tongue and the short tongue pollinators, you know, like butterflies have long tongues and honeybees have short tongues. So, and they prefer different species. So that's what I was saying, but that was another thing where we're gonna have to coordinate with the elementary school people, as well as who is in charge of mowing that area?
That falls underneath the school, we have a contract.
Oh, okay,
I don't know who they
so basically we'll deal with the school then. Okay, that's easy enough. Okay, and I think that is about it. Okay, yes, that's it for me.
Very good.
Thank you.
Anyway, so that's just so you know. So
I would say I would support both of those projects.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, one other thing, that I know bats have a bad reputation with some people. Oh yeah. So each of the ones that are going to be elevated on the poles, those will each have a sign, sort of an educational thing about why we want to protect the bats. Encourage
And they're not
bats.
gonna fly into your hair.
Yeah.
And they're not gonna,
They eat mosquitoes.
what did I read this weekend though? That there was a
Huge colony. on there.
resurgence of the Indiana bats downstate.
Oh, no, I hadn't heard about it.
Yeah.
I did read about a huge colony that they just discovered out in the Northeast Kingdom.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
it was, yeah.
Oh,
So it's, yeah,
I guess.
and they're resilient. They have built up antibodies or whatever to the
Oh,
white
good.
nose syndrome, so. But
So let's hope, yeah.
the browns and the, what's the other one, tricolor or something or other, I don't know. But anyway, I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
So,
me too.
If you
And
want.
they eat mosquitoes.
I would love to have one of the box houses to attach over by the Gray Gables.
Yeah, we were-
How will you be distributing those?
the highest bidder. No, we
Wait, I
have
get
it.
about $3
Okay,
in my pocket.
we were thinking of having 4 of the, called the rocket type, they're cylindrical.
Yeah, right.
And 6 of the, or the box type. And one, I think 1 or 2 are going to go onto the high school, because that's a nice south facing. And we will be looking for people that basically have a building with a south or southeast facing side. And the one restriction is, I think we're making it about a quarter of a mile from either the river or its tributaries, brooks, whatever. That covers a lot. I don't think quarter of a mile,
No,
I just
I'm closer
might
than that.
make it.
It's, I mean, I have them now at my house, so
Yeah.
it's, they're living somewhere, I'm not sure where,
Okay,
but,
so that would be a good location. On the other hand, there will be a box on a pole right across the street. So, anyway, we were thinking that if, probably, we'd have, like a drawing, if there, depending, we'd solicit people's, people who are interested, and then if there's a lot of them, we just have to have a drawing.
Great.
But yeah, it wouldn't cost anything. That's what the grant's for. Okay, any questions?
No, thank you.
No? Okay,
Appreciate it.
I think I'll go home.
always good to see you. Thanks
Lisa.
for coming in.
I don't have anything tonight, thank you, I'm just listening.
Okay.
Can I put you on the spot for a second?
Sure, always.
Well, as everyone's aware, there's a ton of burglaries and thefts and so forth taking place across the county. And there's some residents in town that contacted the state's attorney concerning some video and some fingerprints and all kinds of things that they have concerning this. And the state's attorney said, well, you should contact your state senator, your state representative, to, I guess, apply pressure on the appropriate law enforcement people. Now, I can provide you some names, I won't do it in this meeting, and I don't even know if you have a role in that. I know Russ Ingalls was involved with it when this person contacted him. So, and they did so by email. This person told me they didn't have your phone number. I'm sure they didn't look too hard.
Probably
But
not, because it's in the phone book.
yeah, but I'm just making you aware of it, that's what the state is promoting right now. So just so
Yeah,
giving you a heads up. And
thanks for letting me know. I can speak to Russ to see what he knows about it, because the senators might have more information, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't have that kind of a role with law enforcement. I attended the policing meeting that you all had a month or so ago here, and we clearly heard from the sheriff's office that they are contracted for 40 hours a week and only 40 hours a week, and even if they were contracted for more than those hours, they didn't have enough personnel, and now they're down another deputy in recent
Well-
weeks, so I'm not really sure.
maybe you should be aware of, after that meeting, we received a refund check from them,
23? Was it 23?
23,000. And it was good for, how many shifts was it? 400 shifts or something?
Because you overpaid the town?
No, it was something about coverage during COVID that
Oh,
they
okay,
didn't provide as per our contract.
okay.
And so we've been adding 3 or 4 additional shifts every week right now.
And they're able to provide personnel for that?
Well, according to the schedule.
Okay, and you
when-
are receiving the schedule, Michael, you told me that
Yep.
as well.
So there has been some improvement,
Good.
so we're not there yet.
Do you know the individuals who said they had fingerprints and video footage? Do you know which law enforcement agency they?
Provided them to the sheriff's office.
Sheriff's Office, okay. Okay, and they got no satisfaction from the sheriff's office, so they went to the state's attorney?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
These were individual citizens, I mean, and I just got some phone calls at home that said, hey, this has gotta end, you know, and there was a big event here Saturday
Yes. I
morning
saw
that
that in the
that-
news.
took care of, I don't know, some things, but
Clear
I don't
not,
know.
because last night was just as active.
yeah, so, I just, you know,
Yeah, well, that's
trying to
interesting.
keep you in the
'cause-
loop and give you a
thank
heads up,
I
you know.
don't typically have anything to do with state's attorneys, but I'll check with Senator Ingles to see
Okay,
what he knows about it.
great, thank you very much.
Sure, and I'll try to get back to you too if I get some information.
Or if you can handle a lasso and just go and collect all these people.
John?
Yes, I have a driveway permit for Andy Derby and Herman Smith, and Jason has already signed it.
Okay.
Need to have you guys sign that.
So you said that was a driveway permit for Andy Derby?
Yes.
Don't worry about it.
I also had a complaint from Amos LaFontaine on Dunleavy Avenue, but I told him that's a private road and he'd have to contact Mr. St. Pierre on that. Is that correct? I don't think the town.
It's still a private road.
And it's in awful shape, there's no question about it.
Which LaFontaine was it?
Amos, he bought the last house on that street.
Which last house?
What's the
On
street
that
again?
Dunleavy extension?
Dunleavy
Or
Avenue,
whatever.
down towards your end.
Okay. Yeah, that's, cause it must be his brother that lives in, the old Dunleavy house right behind me. But it is a private road, although we are picking up trash on that road because of some problems that we encountered. Yeah, I mean, it's, just tell him to talk to Mark.
And also, Randy Martin complained about people burning trash in their yards.
In his yard or their yard?
In their yards. I said that, I believe they have to get need to get a permit from the fire department or fire chief or somebody.
So something like that, if it's an illegal burn, if it's actually trash, it needs to be called in. And then we can go investigate, and from there, we can tell them not to. If it persists, we get the sheriffs involved and they can write a ticket. So, there's not a lot that can be done other than, follow up.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it.
John, do we, have anything going on with that burned out property on Brook Street?
No, I haven't heard anything more.
Well, I mean,
That's still under their bank, right?
yeah, but they haven't paid the taxes or anything and
Still be
from
another
last
year.
year.
It's
Well, I know, but we'll go to tax sale, but the bylaws say it needs to be
I
returned to
grade, yeah.
grade
I cited
within
them.
1 year. Okay, so you have cited them.
Yes. And she called up and said, we don't have any money, we don't care what happens to it, you can do anything you want to it. And
do
then the
they
bank,
own it or does the bank own it?
well, she said the bank was told us in January that they were gonna foreclose on us, but whenever she called, they had never heard anything from the bank again.
So the bank owns it, we'll own it.
Okay, and then we
But it-
provide notice to the bank. So, okay, thank you.
Okay, Michael.
Alright, so your next one I got here is the RFP for mowing contract. Tim had some points he wanted to tweak. Want to talk about them?
Well, yeah, I think you all saw the email that I sent last night. There was actually 2 of them. I, at least for the RFPs that I've handled in my past life or the life here in Richford, are far more detailed, and it's controlled by the bid seeker. You know, that if you publish all the details in the ad, you don't even know who's gonna bid. You don't know if you need to chase people to solicit bids, okay? So I would like to see it, the ad simply say that the town of Richford is, has a request for proposals to complete the mowing and trimming or landscaping or, what was the other word you used, Michael?
Groundskeeping.
Groundskeeping for the town parks, playgrounds, and cemeteries. And then in the specs for the actual packet, you know,
So you'd be basically be saying something like contact the town clerk.
contact the town administrator.
And that for a detailed listing of properties?
Yeah, no, he'll give, to get a packet to place a bid, okay? Whether he has to mail them or they have to, you know, come in and they wanna come in and pick
So
one
that's where you
up.
want the details, isn't it?
Yeah, because like I said in that, that's an old notice that was filed for the past contract, and I wasn't on the board at that time, so I don't know, but it's, I mean, there's a lot, you saw in my email, some of those comments that I think need to be changed. We don't wanna use the word maintenance, cause we're not asking them to take care of the playground building and fences and gazebos and fountains and things like that. I think we need to add in that small park across the street as one of the properties, next to the bank there, that Memorial Park or whatever we call it. And I think there needs to be some provisions for what exactly is the spring cleanup. If somebody wants to bid the contract and they're gonna show up with a rake and say, okay, we're done, well, no, because you may have ice damage from various reasons at Davis or at the playgrounds. You may have tree trimming that's necessary, broken limbs over the winter and so forth. And the town's always paid extra for those things. And in fact, this contract says that potentially we will pay these people extra. And I'd rather see it folded into the original bid so we know what we're getting and we just follow the contract and I mean, like I said, you saw the email, Michael and I talked about it today. I think we can run the ad. I would push the dates back a little bit, and Michael and I talked about that today. And there'll be a submittal date, and I think we can read the submittals and vote on it at the October 17th or
So this
whatever.
is dollar amount in here is the last winning bid?
Yeah, that's the current contract.
Okay. So would you be willing to help Michael write?
Absolutely, no, we talked about it
Write
today.
the packet and we can get so we can we can put the ad in the paper and
Absolutely.
and then complete the packet like what in the interim?
Tomorrow.
In the interim?
Yeah, we're already there, it's just,
Okay, well, I'm okay with that. Yeah, just make it simple what are the places you're posting? our EDC page, paper.
Oh, we have to put it in a paper, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
More of the paper, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a couple of them or just one?
Probably the courier.
How long does it have to post for?
I mean, I
Well,
think that's
there's no actual requirement for it. It's just,
Okay.
It's so we have enough time to get bids
but
out.
you understand that we control the outcome of it. If nobody comes for a packet, then we're gonna have to start chasing people.
Yeah.
Who's gonna do it? That's
Yeah.
probably not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But then we'll know who we're expecting bids from.
Okay.
And then we'll also have a provision for whatever collusion goes on between these companies. Because, and the other thing, I mentioned that capacity issues of whoever's putting the bid in, they need to tell us experience and equipment. Because I could bid it and say, yeah, I'll provide my own equipment. I got a riding mower and 2 push mowers and a weed whacker. I can't do the job with that equipment. So if I don't have the wherewithal in the packet to list it, I'll take care of the packet. It's just getting the ad out there and controlling the process, that's all. So, that's my thoughts, I don't,
I'm okay with that.
I'm good with it.
We're all set on that one? So next one is we have to approve the local emergency management plan for 2022. Talked to Wally about this
I was
And-
reviewing it.
and Wally had some good points when he reviewed it for like updating some contact information, but I can do that, or I can send it to the person who needs to update it, and then if we just approve it with the updates, then Andy can sign the contract saying, for the plan for this year, that we adopted it, and we'll be good for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, there's quite a few contacts in there.
Just some contacts need to go through the elementary school. I know Kent Nutrition was one of them.
The ambulance still says health center in brackets.
Yeah, it shouldn't.
Yeah, the principal at the elementary school, Darryl, has a sewer plant.
Yep.
Those are just the ones I recognize. And then there's like all those fire department points of contact, ambulance points of contact. I don't know if those are current or not. I mean ours probably are, but I don't, like, are we to assume that the rest of those communities are accurate?
Probably not.
So I mean, I don't know, how do we go about finding out who finds out, and is that just ours, or is it gonna be like a,
I'm scrolling down to it now just to see.
I have copies.
I mean, like they had the road crews for other, like road contacts for other towns, and I don't know who all those are necessarily.
well, who was the guy that brought it to your attention?
Sean Coleman from NRPC.
He's
Okay,
just back from a tour.
so, but he knows who's valid in these other towns.
Well, assuming, but you would assume he would for us.
He was the one that actually helped write this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, yeah.
Alright, so we just fix what we can fix, and,
Yeah.
alright. So do you want a proposal that Michael's gonna confirm all our information is up to date, and we authorize you to sign for it? That,
Works for me.
I'll make that a motion then?
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Aye.
Hi,
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed.
So I think that's that. Couple of quick things. So Sherry's not here. So she gave me some updates on her buildings report. I can quickly go over. It wasn't anything major. The stones on the she's still waiting for the stones to be put back on the roof to button up the roof project. And she has someone for the back loading dock for the post office to be replaced, or the wooden dock there. So that's gonna be, I think she said you got a quote for it, but it should be done at some point. And then the window in the supervisor union building that was cracked, that's gonna be replaced, and that should be done within the next 2 to 3 weeks. They already took out the window,
Okay.
the glass, I should say.
Yeah.
They have a piece of plywood up there.
Yep.
So that's being done. So I think that's all she said there. I've been working with her on I'm gonna start writing this grant. It's like a historical preservation grant. So as probably most of you know, with like last year they had water damage in the post office upstairs, offices rooms, and she gave me the quote for that, and we're probably gonna apply for that grant to help pay for that. Because like $20,000 that we could get to help with the walls and kind of sheetrock and all that, doing that all over.
Okay.
I think that's all I have for Sherry, and I mean I officially submitted the Park and Ride grant before. I mean that's all done, so we'll gotta wait on now. They're gonna do site visits in October, so I'm waiting on that, and then yeah, I think that's all I have for items.
Okay.
Okay.
Wally, you're.
Not a lot's really been going on. They're putting up winter sand. They finally got their culverts, that had been delayed in coming, so they've replaced a few culverts. One of them was graciously put near my driveway. And just some general maintenance. They finished the sidewalk. One of the follow-up items I had was the scenic overlook sign that we put up like the very next day. Yeah, just some general stuff. Other than that, all's been pretty quiet.
Okay.
I guess we could provide. Now's a good time to provide the update for our trash day event.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. I was curious how much we took in.
We took in $389 in donations.
Beautiful thing.
Which probably will come close to covering
One of the trips.
Yeah, one of the
one
trips.
trip.
That's okay.
And we took the first load had like 20 of mattresses that we.
That's what drives the price.
Yeah, those are expensive, and we were able, we went over to the town garage because they picked some up on the side of the road, so we picked some up there. But the overall, I was happy with the thing. We took in about maybe 80 tires.
Yeah,
That's not bad.
We gave 4 back.
They took some because they were in such good shape. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the tire, so maybe, I don't know if it's any indication, maybe we didn't advertise as well, we can work on that for next year. But I mean, it wasn't nearly the almost 275 we got first time last year for tires, so maybe we're making a dent in what's out there. But overall, I was happy with the idea that the intended audience was to taking advantage of it.
People were walking down the street with stuff.
Well, and they were coming from areas of town that but we had hoped that those areas would be cleaned up, and that was nice to
Those
see.
are the people that need the assistance.
Yeah.
And I think, as we discussed it on Saturday, that I think for budgeting purposes for next year, we should schedule a semi-annual event, once in the spring, once in the fall, where we have this special collection. And I think we should also look into hazardous waste discussion. There's people with paint that we can't take, there's people with, there's a lot of electronics out there that.
We used to have them come up and do that, right?
Yeah, so maybe we could coordinate it with that day.
Yeah, that's fine. And there's a lot of things going on, but I think it's,
I like the hazardous waste idea.
I think it's, and you can just budget for it. I mean, it's not an expensive thing to do.
Well, and paint's not that expensive, really. Like we might be able to work out a thing with Ace. Like, I mean, it's like $1 for a gallon, or 25 cents or whatever. It's really pretty cheap. So maybe we could just work out something with Ace too, to do, I'm not saying batteries or all those other things, but something like that we could probably.
Well, you can do a lot of free of charge recycling with them, like your fluorescent bulbs, your LEDs, all that stuff's not supposed to go in the landfill. So
the one thing I would say is, we could also possibly, because I know the first time we did it last year was all community driven fundraising. So I don't know if we could, potentially do something like that. Hey, we're doing this. We want to make it a big and a successful event. I don't know if that's appropriate for the town to do, from a town perspective, but just something to throw out there.
Okay. Oh, I like that idea. All right. That is Wally.
Yes.
and I spent most of the day sitting down.
Yeah, somebody brought a chair for recycling, and he took advantage of it right away.
And sat in it most of the day.
Water and sewer report. Alan, do you know anything about the bridge? Have you heard anything about that here? No.
I have a concern with that. That now for the pumping of the temporary tanks, we've paid $37,000 already.
And Alan, you're gonna construct a letter, right?
You gotta
Once I
see the
got
bills,
some
right?
real numbers, yeah,
Okay.
but Kylie hasn't paid most of that yet.
Okay.
She hasn't paid our share of, putting the new line across, so I don't have invoices.
You're
or
just
something.
waiting for the numbers. Okay.
But that was an unforeseen expense.
Yeah.
You know, so what did we budget, 50 or 60?
50.
Okay, so you're looking at probably 87 already.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we make up those. I'll keep looking in the woods for those big bags of money. They just don't turn up real regular.
You find it, let me know. 50 our Street, this is probably gonna be a discussion, a longer discussion, but when we went to shut the water off, the day that we took possession of the house, the curb stop, the valve does not work, and we haven't dug it up yet, but I'm thinking, seeing that winter's coming, we're gonna wanna make sure that water's off in the house, so I'm thinking that go ahead and tell Jeremy, get the parts and the pieces and Alfred lined up to, take care of that.
Okay.
That's all I have. Alan, do you have anything? Okay. Parks, playground, cemeteries report.
Actually, everything's going great in all areas. We are starting the budgeting process, which includes this mowing RFP, and it includes, we're gonna look to replace all of the trash can scenarios around town, so that we have an appropriate rubbish barrel and a recycling barrel, and they're not hit or miss, you know.
Yeah.
Here's an old, you know, plastic can, here's, you know, there'll be some continuity to that.
Actually, while you're on that, brought a thought in my mind. I had a concerned citizen. Of course, we had the kids going around picking up cigarette butts recently.
Absolutely.
The suggestion was made, maybe we could put a few cigarette butt places where we could take care of that.
We took, the person that runs the thing, I forget her name.
Yes.
Do you know?
Amy Brewer.
Okay. She responded to our emails that she's happy to provide waste containers and signage if we need it,
Yeah.
and different things like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll follow up on
Yeah,
that
it was
too.
just a suggestion, you know, maybe
Yep.
cut down on some of the butts that are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And, went right out of my head. Oh, and I think we need to, I'm trying to get a bid to paint the fountain
Oh.
across from the church,
Nice.
because it's in pretty rough shape. It was done in 1980 something, I think, the last time. And there's a plaque on the side of it, because it was a Buddy Love project.
Yeah.
And, but it hasn't really received. And I was there when we turned it on this year, and it was kind of funky. So,
Something you'll do this spring.
yeah, well, it'll be for next year, but I'm talking to people, I don't know if they have to take it out and sandblast it, or if they can do it on site. You know, they put like a tent around it, you know, and, but, yeah, so, I mean, basically, we're going into budgeting mode.
Okay.
And something for the water department to consider, if you want to take a look at the mausoleum at the Hillside Cemetery, because that's on town land, and it's an existing building, and it's not functioning as a body storage facility. So, I mean, it's there.
Okay.
If it has the square footage, why reinvent the wheel?
What are we looking to use that for?
Pump
The
station.
pumping station for that new lines that are going
Okay.
up Golf Course Road and that way.
Oh, that makes sense.
I'm just putting it out there, that's all. But that's as exciting as it gets. And please, support Harvest Fest. I think it's gonna be a great event. We're working on a lot of things for the winter down there, what we're gonna do with the rec committee and where the skating rink's going, where the warming hut's going, and I firmly believe we should have some holiday programming down there. And I think, even Valentine's Day programming related to that, so,
I have something on that topic, the holidays.
yeah.
The committee that does the lights in this park up here really would like permission to have the big evergreen in the upper right-hand corner taken down, because it's to the point where they can't, you have to hire a lift to get in there to put it, and they don't do it anymore. Suggested taking it down and maybe replacing them with like 3 or 4, trees that grow up to 10 or 12 feet tall so they can decorate it.
No one's been able to, and I've been working on this a couple of months, no one's been able to tell me exactly what tree it is.
It's the biggest one there, the big evergreen in the corner.
Okay, no, the biggest one there is the one that's next to the building.
No,
Evergreen.
evergreen.
I understand that, with what I'm hearing now, I didn't hear the word evergreen before.
Yeah, it's the
So, yeah, we can get it taken down. There's some utility concerns there, because there's, wires on the street there.
Well, I think we can push it over the bank, and we could get I think the town, if we had the town crew go in with the excavator and push it, I think it could be pushed over the bank and taken care of.
And that's all town land down there, right?
So, I mean, if we got,
Yeah, that's fine.
You go look at it, make sure.
Yeah, no, I'm
And then I will
fine.
speak with Jason.
I'm fine with it, because I told them a couple months ago, I'd find a way to get the
Yeah.
tree down if they wanted to get down.
Alright.
And also, I approved the upgrades for D&D to make at Davis Park in front of the Harvest Fest. They're gonna be replacing a junction box and 8 or 10 outlets that are there. Some of them are
They needed
higher
upgrade.
voltage, a couple of them that were already there, I don't know if they were 220 or if they were just a 40 amp breaker, it's got the plug-in that goes, this way and, so it's, but they're gonna do that, they're gonna probably do it this week. They are probably gonna come and do the sign this week, and with all this rain forecast, it'll probably get delayed a week, but that will be done prior to Harvest Fest. And we have a bid for all the work on the Main Street Park. I wanted to get with John to clarify the lighting problems that are over there. And it's another $1,500, $2,000 project.
Well, let me, we all got email about Vermont Electric offering up to 8 hours of community service to their employees.
Right.
I know one of them is an electrician who
Sure.
may or may not be willing to do that, so that could take some of the labor cost out if we could work with them. I think there's 2 actually at that facility that are electricians, so
Yeah.
if you could secure them.
Definitely.
Do you have a point of contact, Michael, you could ask?
I think the
I can just go there.
the email concluded the contact.
Right, I think
Yeah.
there's 2 emails on that email.
Sylvester maybe?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But-
That's there, we have it.
I mean, I can show up at the barn. That's what I did when I had to get some trees trimmed up on Elm Avenue.
Yeah, I mean, I
So-
think you probably we should go follow the,
The protocol. No, I agree. And that sounds like a great program. That they get paid to volunteer. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
VEC is getting their act together.
I don't remember, I don't see the message, but I can find it.
I read it earlier, and yes, I remember, but I don't remember, I
Yeah.
didn't make it down that
Oh,
far.
I think I might have, I know what it is. I think I actually put it in my archive.
Okay,
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Ben's the best thing,
okay.
Cool.
or, I got, their emails are in there for the people to contact people.
Yeah, I was wondering, should we hold off then?
Oh, I don't
I mean,
think
we got some months to prepare the park for Christmas lights and so forth.
Well, I mean, I think you probably, there may be some lead time in getting it arranged,
Right.
so I think,
I mean, we're gonna go forward, but
Yeah.
yeah,
mean, and I would only choose, I would just, let's focus on the community service for one park, not both projects.
Yeah, right, no, I'm saying Davis is done.
Yeah.
I mean, it will be
Yeah.
completed today.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be future items coming out of that streetscape meetings that we've been having in town about different lighting and things like that. And the Main Street Park needs a lot of attention. A lot of all of the electric's under the ground. And it's, a lot of the boxes are snapped off. And it's just, it's a hazard. And we can create some additional outlets there to help with the Christmas lighting and so forth. And a suggestion that I had received about Davis Park is, in terms of electric, we may want to run a line basically along that path
I
that
was
goes
just
through.
thinking that, because what I was thinking about is Enosburg in their park, what they
Yeah.
have, and that's pretty nice. Actually, that'll bring people in just to take pictures, so.
Yeah, right,
It'll-
absolutely. But I mean, if you run it, and then when you have festivals, you're not tethered to within the distance from that pole that you can run electricity from.
Right.
And I think you'll see in the streetscaping recommendations that there's also gonna be some lower lighting in that park and things like that. So anyway, we're looking to spend all the town's money next year,
Okay.
so.
All right. That all you have
Yep.
for parks? Okay. Other business. It was asked at the last meeting if the firemen were gonna do the breakfast with Santa. And we talked about it at the last meeting, we would like to do it. We don't know if it will go as big as in years past, but we're talking about doing a pancake breakfast and having horse rides with Santa. Doing that, so.
Rick?
Did I miss anything, Joey?
Nope, you got it all.
If you got a good suit, I'll volunteer as Santa.
I got one.
And our Santa's got plenty of padding,
Thank you.
and it's not me.
I got a couple of housekeeping things.
Okay.
The parking agreement for Robert McAllister, has that been executed?
He had, I went there today and I dropped it off with my business card, he wasn't there.
Okay,
So we can review it and he
okay.
will know.
And we also need to make provisions to stripe that lot. And we have the equipment at the town
Yeah.
barn,
I think
so.
he was waiting for something.
He was doing a bunch of projects by the sound, cause I think he was
He's gonna have to assume before this is not done.
Yeah, cause
Yeah.
I asked him to do the parking lot in the front of the
Yeah.
emergency building there, where,
Yeah, so I'll double check with him. There was a reason he was waiting.
Yeah.
I think, cause he only wanted to get the equipment out once.
Yeah, sure.
It's cause he had to
Well,
pressure
that's fine,
wash
I'm
it or
just,
something.
it's just a reminder, that's all. I'm not saying
Yeah,
it's crucial.
Yes.
And there's enough of a marking there that we can rent out those spaces and make that big $600, you know? Every little bit helps, right? Pays for your trash pickup. And I know a number of months ago, we discussed a conflict of interest policy. And I don't know that that was ever executed, was it?
Yeah.
Did we all sign it at a
Yeah.
meeting,
I
or?
believe so.
Okay. And what level of employee is that provided to? And can we verify that it's in, like, did you sign a conflict of interest policy when you got hired here?
Hold on, that was before, you signed that prior or after I got,
Okay, but is there one in your employment file?
not that I know of.
Well, they should be.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying, that we just need to follow up to make
Can you-
sure
Yeah, can you look
that
into
all the
that?
T's are crossed and
So
so
look
forth.
into,
The conflict of, the updated.
Conflict of interest policy. And now I'll be quiet.
any other business?
Just, do you want to do the other good?
Oh, yeah, we're gonna
lease
do-
agreement?
yeah, we gotta do that.
And we do that in executive?
Yeah.
Town business,
What is it?
the lease agreement for the post office?
Oh, yeah. So,
And I have something I wanna talk about in executive session.
Okay,
So I guess we're looking for a motion on.
I'll move that we go to executive session.
Do you have something to say before?
You were talking about the post office roof before.
Mm-hmm.
Did we ever get the state permit we need to do that roof?
I think that was signed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't it done last year? Like
That
this
was
came.
the Sherry, it was involved with Sherry and Linda reminded Sherry that she needed it, if I remember that correctly.
I think it's down there, isn't it? Isn't it posted on one of the boards in the lobby?
Cause I didn't realize we needed a permit, and I was educated on that, so. Okay, motion going
I'll
executive,
second that.
all those in favor?
You betcha.
Aye, here, none.